Hi, I'm Ryan Lubin, Battalion Chief for the Temecula Battalion, and this is Report on Conditions. Paris, go ahead for Battalion 15A.
On this week's Report on Conditions, we'll give you details on several incidents our firefighters responded to last week, and we showcase a new fire hydrant specifically designed for water-dropping helicopters in Jurupa Valley.
Engine 1 with Report on Conditions.
Hi, I'm April Newman, and welcome back to another episode of Report on Conditions. Jurupa Valley recently unveiled a new piece of equipment for battling wildfires, the helihydrant. Let's see how it works.
Today we were doing some training on the new helihydrant installed by JCSD.
It was developed a few years ago to cut the turnaround time for helicopters, so that water availability would be robust and abundant around communities that are threatened by fires.
So we've got a steel tank that's behind us. It's about a 3,000 gallon tank that can take water from our water system, and it's available for CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department to be able to come in and take that water and deal with any of the wildland abatement that they might need.
Today was very successful. I talked to the pilot on the radio while he was doing his work, and he said there was no flaws in the system and everything worked perfectly for him. As
the helicopter gets closer, he can use his radio that he uses each and every day. He triggers by clicking a certain amount of times on a certain channel. The helihydrant is always listening. When it hears that request, it turns on. It starts to flood the tank, it shuts down the drain, and water starts to fill. As soon as the water is deep enough, he can start snorkeling and fighting fire.
For this project, any of the helicopters that we're doing the fire mitigation in this area, we're having to take water usually from the Santa Ana River or other water assets that aren't necessarily as reliable. This project has a huge benefit to this community. We've got risk in wildfires, as well as a lot of Jurupa Community Service District water assets are up in the hills as well. So to be able to have aerial assets come and abate the fires on an emergency situation is really important to the community.
The plan is to put 3 more in, one in the city of Eastville, and then 2 more in the city of Jurupa Valley. I think it's a great success, and I think it's a wave of the future, what we're looking at for our aircraft.
Last week, from June 3rd through June 9th, the department responded to a total of 4,048 calls for service. This included 3,108 medical emergencies and 135 fire-related calls. Let's check out a few of those incidents. In the early morning hours of Monday, June 3rd, firefighters responded to a traffic collision that occurred on southbound Interstate 15 at Bundy Canyon Road in Wildemar. The first on-scene engine reported 2 vehicles involved, one of which was partially involved in fire, and the other that had a patient trapped inside of it. The fire was quickly contained to the vehicle before it spread. All lanes of the southbound interstate were closed for approximately 20 minutes while crews worked to free the trapped patient, who was transported to a local hospital in stable condition. On Thursday, June 6, around 6:30 in the morning, 911 dispatchers received numerous reports of fire in a building in the 85,000 block of Grapefruit Boulevard in the city of Coachella. The first on-scene engine reported a large pile of cardboard boxes on fire that had extended into a 50,000 square foot commercial structure and immediately requested a second alarm response and a roadway closure. The incident commander also requested to slow the train traffic on the tracks running adjacent to the incident due to heavy smoke and flames making visibility difficult. A third and fourth alarm was requested due to the size of the building, the fire activity, and the high temperatures impacting firefighters. A formal firefighter rest and rehabilitation zone was set up, complete with an air-conditioned sunline bus to help firefighters cool down during rest periods and to help avoid fatigue and injury. With assistance from our local cooperating agencies, firefighters were able to contain the fire to the building just before midnight, approximately 18 hours after it began. Firefighters remained on scene overnight to ensure all hotspots were extinguished within the building. On the morning of Friday, June 7th, firefighters were dispatched to a reported semi-truck on fire on the Red Cloud Road off-ramp of westbound Interstate 10. The first arriving engine reported a detached trailer for a semi-truck fully involved in burning possibly hazardous materials with explosions. The Riverside County Fire Hazardous Materials team responded to the incident to assess the materials burning. Both directions of travel of the interstate were shut down while firefighters worked to contain the fire, which took about 3 hours. The driver of the semi-truck suffered minor injuries while attempting to extinguish the fire and was transported to a local hospital for evaluation. On Friday, June 7th, multiple 911 calls reported a house on fire in the 200 block of West 1st Street in the city of Paris. The first arriving engine company officer reported a well-involved single-story structure with power lines also involved. The quick action of the firefighters contained the fire within about 25 minutes without any injuries. An RV, 2 outbuildings, and 1 vehicle were destroyed with minimal damage to the main residence on the property. Firefighters remained on scene for about 2 hours working on salvage and overhaul.
I teach children from 6 months and up to self-rescue in the water. So that's learning how to navigate the water safely. I'm Lauren Rivers, and I'm a certified swim survival instructor. Drowning is one of the leading causes of deaths from kids 1 to 4, and 70% of those drownings happen during non-swim times. You're talking a backyard pool, trying to make that as safe as you can for your child. The number one thing is barriers, an actual physical barrier around the pool or body of water, whether it's a pond, whatnot. High locks on any doors that can lead to the pool. Alarms that chime when the door is opened or a window's open, or even doggy doors. And then moving any chairs, tables, whatnot that kids can use to stand on to be able to open that fence. You should always either hire a lifeguard, a certified lifeguard, someone who's been through the training, a CPR certified, lifeguard certified, a designated water watcher. Whether it's a family member, they know for that hour they're watching the water, and that's their sole job. Someone should always be eyes on the water. Drowning does not look like what people think. It's silent and it's fast. That's when an emergency plan in place is going to be key. There's people that know how to do CPR, and they can pull that person out. They can designate somebody to call 911, go outside, meet the fire engine, bring them back to the pool, and they can take over from there. But shortening that time frame because you have a phone available on the pool deck for someone to use in an emergency and somebody else being able to start CPR right away has been the difference between life and death for a lot of these kids.
That's it for this week's Report on Conditions. Follow your firefighters in action on our social media at CalFireRRU and stay up to date on incidents happening countywide. If you caught any great footage of our firefighters at work or out in the community, send them to us at rrupio@fire.ca.gov. On behalf of your Public Affairs and Community Education Bureau, I'm April Newman. Thanks for watching.